here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. Since yesterday, one video has sent shivers down the spine of an entire nation. A video so grotesque, so deviant that it has given nightmares to many. It will lift your belief from humanity itself. You would think, how can any human being heap such depravity on another? It would shake you to the core of your soul when you see that video. Two young women surrounded by a mob of brutes, parading them naked after forcibly stripping them of every last piece of clothing that was on their body. Two young women allegedly gang raped before being publicly humiliated. One of the victims watched her brother being killed by the mob for trying to save her honor. This monstrosity unfolded just 35 kilometers away from the Manipur's capital, Imphal, on the 4th of May. What's even more shocking is that all of this happened while a family of 5 was being escorted away safely to safety by the police. This has been noted by the police in an FIR. Yet, the police failed to prevent this abduction and murder. 76 days later, the first arrest has now been made in the case. The rest are still at large, with the state now forming 12 teams to track them down. The state of Manipur, remember, has been on the edge for the last 3 months. Violence, arson was witnessed across the state for days together. And now we have a situation where violence against women is being used as a means of retribution. That's something the Chief Justice of our country also spoke about today. Mincing absolutely no words, Justice Chandrachud expressed his anger. He said that using women as an instrument in violence is the grossest of human rights and constitutional violation. The Supreme Court putting the state government on notice as well. Now, what explains the inaction for the last 2 months as far as this particular case goes? Are ethnic fault lines in the state to blame for this particular monstrosity that we've seen, or for this inaction by the police? Or is it simply just the politics that seems to be derailing justice? Before we delve into that, let me break down some facts for you. Now, the case happened on the 4th of May. A zero FIR was filed later in that same month. Let me tell you what the victims narrated to the police. In their complaint, the victims have said that 5 members of one family fled towards the forest after a group of 800 to 1,000 men carrying sophisticated weapons entered their village. They began looting. There was arson. This happened on the 4th of May in the afternoon. They said they were rescued by the police. They were being taken to the police station. But on the way, they were stopped by this mob. They were snatched from the police's custody around 2 kilometers away from the police station, just 2 kilometers away. While the video only shows 2 women, the complaint states that there was another woman in her 50s who was also first to take off her clothes by the crowd. The complaint, based on which the zero FIR was filed, also alleged that the younger woman was brutally gang raped in broad daylight. They stated that the youngest woman's father was killed on the spot, also alleging that the brother who tried to save the victim was also killed in the process. Now, this is just the latest instance that we've seen and the most horrific of its kind coming in from Manipur. But as far as the violence in Manipur is concerned, we've seen how that's unfolded over the last 3 months. Over 160 people have been killed. 60,000 and more have been displaced so far. There are 50,000 people that are still lodged in relief camps. At least 349 relief camps are still operational in that state. There are nearly 5,000 arson incidents that have come to the fore since April of this year. Close to 6,000 FIRs have been registered, but how many of them have been acted upon, like this one? In this case too, an FIR was registered, but only until today, there was no arrest made. Today, 77 days later, was the first arrest that came to the fore as part of this particular case is concerned. As far as Manipur on a whole and the violence is considered, 181 arrests were made until the 4th of July. 108 people were given bail until then. There are 124 para-convoys that are deployed in the state. So it's not just the state government. There's also central forces that's deployed. What then explains this kind of depravity that we've seen? There's 184 army columns that are stationed in the state as well. 60,000 central security forces that are posted in Manipur. So what exactly seems to be the issue? Have these fault lines been allowed to fester so much that we've reached a stage where we see such kind of depravity, such kind of inhuman behavior coming in from that state? Those are the questions we'll raise tonight on The Right Step.
मणिपुर की जो घटना सामने आई है, किसी भी सभ्य समाज के लिए ये शर्मसार करने वाली घटना है। और मैं देशवासियों को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं, किसी भी गुनहगार को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
तो जिसका discussion here on Manipur. We want a discussion, and the Prime Minister has to open his mouth. Manipur, Manipur, Manipur. How can you
Honorable member,
the Prime Minister of India?
जब सरकार ने स्पष्ट कर दिया कि हम मणिपुर की घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं, कांग्रेस और बाकी विपक्षी दल सदन की कार्रवाई को डिस्टर्ब करें।
The state government will not keep silent. The state government will not keep silent. Immediately after seeing the video, I asked to have mass combing operation where the suspected areas.
Joining me on this broadcast is Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, spokesperson of the Congress party. Aishwarya Mahadev joins us as well. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, is with me as well, and a journalist from Manipur. Hoinu Hazel will be joining us shortly here on this broadcast. But Sanju Verma, let me begin by asking you. Today we have the Chief Minister who says that the strictest of punishment will be meted out. The culprits will not be spared. If the strictest action is that of capital punishment, then we'll ensure under the law that happens. But many would say that this assurance is 77 days too late.
You know, Poonam, I will not indulge in whataboutery. I agree that, the statement and perhaps I would dare say even the action in terms of, making those FIRs or arresting the needful has come perhaps a tad bit too late, 77 days late. But I will also say this with equal confidence that, thank God, it is the BJP that you and me are still sitting here and discussing and demanding for accountability, demanding that heads be rolled, demanding that, the police constabulary and the Central Armed Forces, which have been deployed in Manipur to ensure peace and tranquility, they are held accountable. But we certainly don't need lectures from the opposition, particularly Congress. And this is not, again, the reason I keep using the term whataboutery is because I've been on a couple of debates since evening, and the Congress, the moment they are shown the mirror, they say, oh, BJP is engaging in whataboutery. So here are some hard facts. 6 days back in Curdling, a young woman was gang raped, her face mutilated with acid. She was then burnt alive, and her mutilated body thrown in a deserted well. There is no outrage, not a single tweet by Rahul Gandhi, who talks about Mohabbat ki dukaan, not a single tweet by Priyanka Vadra of Ladki Hu Lad Sakti Hu fame. So my simple, point is this. We need to be accountable. Equally, we don't need bhashan from an opposition which has had an exceedingly poor track record. And I will just end by saying one thing. Manipur came into existence on the 21st of January 1972. And anybody who has an iota of knowledge about Northeast history will know that in the last 51 years, and I say this with tremendous confidence, the last 6 years when the BJP has been in power in Manipur have been the most peaceful period in Manipur's history, barring the last 2 odd months when violence spiraled out of control. And as I said, the BJP is committed to resolutions and ensuring that peace prevails once again, albeit it may take time because the issue is very complex here with the Naga tribes, the Kukis and the Maitis all fighting for different causes. And I just want to say one other thing, that, be it even rehabilitating insurgents or having dialogue with these people, because, please understand, everybody comes here and says this is not just another heinous crime. The reason is that, Kukis want an autonomous region. You have the Maitais who've been fighting for getting a scheduled tribe status. And then you have the Naga tribes within Manipur who say we want to break away from Manipur and be a part of Nagaland or larger Nagiland, as they say.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to say is it's a complex issue and the government is completely on top of it. And the Prime Minister has said what he had to, but actions speak louder than words, and we are demanding capital punishment at the earliest for the perpetrators with no ifs or buts whatsoever.
Sure, Sanju Verma, like you said, actions do speak louder than words. Unfortunately, the fact that there has been inaction for over 2 months, that's speaking much louder than the assurances that have come to the fore from the state government. And Aishwarya Mahadev, let's leave the politics aside. We've had allegations, counter-allegations coming in from both sides of, look, this is what is happening in a BJP-ruled state, but look, here's what's happening in a Congress-ruled state as well. That does not make one crime bigger than the other.
Good evening. I think that is the statement you should direct at the Prime Minister also, because today, while speaking about one of the most heinous crimes, he decided to draw an equivalence to other states, almost like saying this is happening everywhere. That is an abdication of responsibility, and it is absolutely heinous for any head of a state to not take action. So when you talk about actions speak louder than words, the saddest thing is neither has action come up at an appropriate time, nor have the words. Post 77 days, you finally see a man breaking silence after a long tour of I wonder how many countries. And the second is, let me ask you, how long did it take for the Home Minister to even visit Manipur? How long did it take for certain ministers to even talk about this situation? How long did it take for the Chief Minister of the state to talk about this heinous crime and instance? I am not going to sit and compare about any other instance. There is not going to be whataboutery, much like the other person said, I will not have whataboutery, but indulged in it quite blatantly. I'm asking you two questions. One, what are you going to do? Second, how are you going to hold your state accountable? Because let me remind you, you have a history of bringing in precedence rules in states where you cannot cobble up a majority. But here there is a clear ground of complete breakdown of every machinery to the extent that the Supreme Court is obviously hauling you up. So please ask the BJP. I will not say anything else. I will not make it about whataboutery or who when tweeted, because that is not statesmanship. It is the government to act on the ground. But tell me, what is the way forward? What are you going to do? And please, you can talk about all the history from 72 onwards. And I'm asking Sanju Verma this. Conceded all the mistakes that had to happen happened pre-2014. But if you are Achedin and Vikas and Amrit Kal, and I don't know what Kal we are in now, tell me, how, if you are again a party with a difference, why haven't you done better? Why haven't you taken action? Your CM talks about an instance that happened 77 days ago.
May I come in now? It can't be a monologue.
Sanju Verma, you had your time. Let her finish her piece. I will come back to you.
What is the solution? That is all I'm asking.
And that's the question, Sanju Verma. Many people are asking that yes, today the first arrest was made, but the FIR was filed on the 18th of May, which is 2 months ago. But the video goes viral yesterday, and then immediately within 24 hours, we see the first arrest being made. Would you not then see it reasonable for people to ask questions about the timing or the sudden alacrity that seems to be coming to the fore from the state government?
Okay, the Congress spokesperson made some allegations, some of them reckless. One thing which caught my attention was when she said, how is it that you are a party with a difference? Have we done better? I think that's a very interesting question, and I will answer. And I will answer with hard facts. It was only as recently as 2016, can you believe, one of the largest northeastern states, Assam, was put on the broad gauge of Indian railways. It was only as recently as 2018 that Sikkim got its first airport. It was only as recently as 2017 that the Dhola-Sadia bridge, which started way back in 2011, was completed because the Congress was sleeping from 2011 to 2014, giving infrastructure a complete ignore. I did not interrupt you. Now please shut up.
I do not
I did not interrupt you.
Let's keep this civil. Aishwarya Mahadev and Sanju Verma, let's keep this civil, please. Aishwarya Mahadev, you made some questions. Sanju Verma, I would request you also to please, let's keep this civil. Aishwarya Mahadev, I'll come back to you. Sanju Verma, go ahead.
Please finish. The problem with Congress is this. The moment you start quoting data, you see how rattled the spokesperson becomes. But as long as it is a rhetorical debate, she is fine to give a bhashan on national television. Now you listen. Dhola-Sadia bridge, Bogeybill bridge started under Vajpayee in 2002. It was completed under Narendra Modi in 2018. What was Congress doing from 2004 and 2014? Sleeping as always. And who are the people who are giving us bhashan today? Quoting the Supreme Court. Recently, a few days back, earlier this week, Rahul Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee were giving a jadoo ki jhappi to each other. Rahul Gandhi has not tweeted. Otherwise, he keeps talking about his mohabbat ki dukaan and his view on everything under the sun. Supreme Court under Panchayat violence told this to Mamata Banerjee. The license to hold elections is not a license to violence. Did Rahul Gandhi condemn the Panchayat violence in Bengal? No. Because political compulsions of an alliance overwhelmed his better judgment. And I will just end by saying this. December 9th, Sonia Gandhi's birthday, December 9th, 2022, entire Gandhi clan, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra, Rahul Gandhi, having a nice party at Ranthambore, enjoying, on their mother's 76th birthday. And in Alwar, there was a gang rape of a 14-year-old. It is 224 kilometers from Ranthambore to Alwar. What did Priyanka Vadra do? Did she visit Alwar? No. Did Rahul Gandhi visit Alwar? No. So basically, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Vadra, madam, don't do this.
But Sanju Verma, you still haven't answered my question. You still haven't answered my question, Sanju Verma. I was asking you about the action that has been taken only in the last 24 hours after that video went viral.
No, I will say this, to you, Poonam, that to simplify matters and say that only because video got viral and the Modi government or Biren Singh swung into action is trying to completely, simplify a rather complex situation. I started by saying the dynamics in Manipur are very, very complex, and at this point in time, while the Prime Minister has spoken today, don't forget that finally Amit Shah, who's a part of the Modi government's cabinet, has been stationed in Manipur for the better part of the last 2 months. He's been having dialogues with the insurgents. He's been having dialogues with various stakeholders, including the Nagas, the Maitais, and the Kukis. But not everything is for TV consumption. Because the situation there has been very delicate. And in large parts, Article 350...
I concede to the fact that this is a complicated issue as far as the ethnic issue in Manipur goes. It goes back decades together. But I want to get in Vikram Singh as well on this particular question. I want to ask him that. So thank you so much for patiently waiting on this. But yes, it's a complex issue otherwise as a state. But this is not complex. The straight dynamics of this particular case is there was an FIR registered 2 months ago. Action was not taken for over 77 days. It's as simple as that. Don't you then think that considering the police have been caught napping, heads should roll? Because both it needs to be done as a measure of ensuring justice and accountability and also as a measure of deterrence.
Poonam ji, good evening. 4 quick points. Number one, too little coming too late. Number one, the FIR is being lodged as a zero FIR, and that too 14 days after the incident. What is the explanation? Then the specific section of gang rape not incorporated till about 6 hours ago. I wonder if it has been done now. Then you should heads roll. The entire police station should be placed under suspension and dismissed from service for showing gross dereliction of duty and cowardice. What I would have expected under these circumstances, in a population of 26 lakhs, you have paramilitary and police of 70,000. This is not an ordinary number. This is a huge number. And to be equipped with 5,000 rifles and 500,000 rounds of ammunition, whatever be the circumstances, the last man and the last bullet, you should have used deterrent force to ensure that the rioters did not use women as an instrument of exploitation, as an instrument of retribution, as the Honorable Chief Justice has said. Now coming to the fact, Article 311 of the Constitution says anyone showing dereliction of duty, gross cowardice can be dismissed from service without an inquiry. The DM and the SSP heads should roll because they were either totally complacent about it or looked the other way. In either case, cowardice, they should be dismissed from service. Now, a case should also be registered against the delinquent police officers and the magistrates, and everybody who had a role to intervene should be accountable. A deterrent punishment being given in the next 24 hours. If not, then we have failed Manipur, we have failed the women of Manipur and
Absolutely.
India. Now,
accountability is extremely important, which is why action needs to be taken not just in this particular case, but also against errant police officers. I request you all to stay with me because we have more information that's now trickling in on this particular case. We're now learning that 2 more arrests have been made. In all, there are 3 arrests that have been made so far. 77 days later, there are many more that were seen on video. What is the process of identifying them? What is the status of that? Let me find out from my colleague Komalika, who joins us on this broadcast. Komalika, 3 arrests been made in total for now, 2 more. But all 3 being done only in the last 24 hours, not really no action taken in the last 2 months.
Yeah, that's a big question, that what was police doing from 18th May? And not only 18 May, 3rd and 4th May, at that point of time also, there were allegation and counter-allegations that rapes have taken place in this area. Now, what we are getting it from our sources in Manipur is that 2 more have been arrested. That makes the figure to 3. This person, the first person, the main accused who has been arrested, he has been rigorously questioned. And the video, there were near about 25 people seen in the video. So that police is taking that help. And, from today morning, like yesterday at around 1:30 at night, they got the first one. And today, all through the day, they got another 2. So the video is helping them. But obviously, the biggest question is that why so late? For all those things, all these culprits, they were moving free. And they might have done something more to that, because this is such a heinous act. This is the question which everybody is raising. Police is now absolutely alert, and they are working in war food to get more people arrested. But it is too late. That's still a question.
Right. Is it too little, too late? That's the question we're asking here on the right stand as well. Kamalika, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. My panelists continue to be with us on this broadcast. And Aishwarya Mahadev, we were talking about justice in this particular case. Is politics derailing justice? Irrespective of whose politics it is.
I think the two things I want to make very clear is that the BJP spokesperson just now, besides the fact that she wants to talk about rhetoric and facts, good for her, because ad hominem attacks have helped nobody. But the fact that she spoke about how the Home Minister himself has been sitting in Manipur, is that to say that under the nose of the Home Minister himself, an act of such brutality and such violence has taken place? And do you believe that that's any sort of honor to the position of your Home Minister? Doesn't it show you the appalling weakness of the man first? And second thing, Poonam, she can give me a 10-page long list. She can even say we have built a bridge all the way from somewhere in the northeast to Mars, but that will still not justify or take away from the fact that some of the most heinous sexual violence is occurring in the northeast, and the government has been completely silent. It is not to say that just because there is development in whatever sense or form, all of which we have seen, especially when the northeast has floods, that you can allow such sort of brutality and inhumane
absolutely, and we need to talk about this particular case, this particular crime that has been committed, and action has not been taken in 2 months. That is something that the state will have to be accountable for. Yes.
Ask her to stick to Manipur, because if I wanted to know facts, I can also Google
Sure. So let's talk about Manipur, and I want to get in a voice from the state. I want to get in a journalist from Manipur who's also joining us here on this broadcast. Hoinu Hazal, thank you so much for speaking with us here on the right stand. And I want to ask you, these fault lines between the two communities, they've been long-standing. They've been there for years together. It's a complex issue is what we always hear because of those fault lines in these ethnic communities. But do you think it was allowed to fester to such a level that it's reached a stage where, at least for some people, like the 3 women involved in this case, it's reached a point of no return?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here. An incident that started on 3rd of May continues to rock the state. What does it say? It says that it's allowed to go on recklessly to the point that a video that an incident that had taken place on the 4th of May surfaced, and therefore it shook us, and we're here debating it. What if the videos never came out? Are we going to brush aside the many incidents that were not reported? For instance, the beheading of a boy, the killing of a lady who was mentally deranged. Are we going to brush them aside just because the video did not surface? So I want to ask the people of India, is it the manner in which we die that makes it important for us to wake up, or life itself? We could, so I'm a little troubled. I'm
sorry to interrupt you there, Ms. Hausel, but the Chief Minister of Manipur is speaking. Let's cutting across to that.
The suspected male culprits, and the further investigation is going on, and those who involve will also be arrested and booked as per the law of the land at the earliest. Thank you.
Sir, how many arrested and how many identified?
As of now, one has arrested yesterday, and recently I got one information, another one also arrested now. And this interrogation is going on. I don't want to make it more elaborate. Thank you.
So police got the information, registered the FIR, but started the investigation and action after 2 months.
ये देखो वही तो बोला है ना, ये मणिपुर में जो वायलेंस जो है कंटिन्यूस चल रहा है, तो इसमें कौन कौन है क्या क्या है इसको आइडेंटिफाई करने में टाइम लगा, तो इमीडिएटली वीडियो मिला, इमीडिएटली रिएक्ट किया है, वी नॉट स्पेयर एनीवन। थैंक यू।
Forcibly taken from the police custody.
Ato kumalik. We have already.
The guilty will not be spared, says the Chief Minister. We really do hope that actions speak louder than words and all of those brutes are arrested at the earliest and law reaches and the case reaches its logical conclusion. I have to leave it at that. I thank all my